Hi, Sturgeon teachers. This is our latest opportunity to learn together, and we're just going to take an overview look of Google Classroom to make sure that you have the settings that you need and the skills that you need to be able to communicate and exchange work and assignments back and forth with your kiddos. So, if you're not familiar, I'm Nikki Whitford. I'm the coordinator of instructional assistive technology, and certainly I'm available on Twitter, but you can also email me if you have questions as well. But in our time together here, we're just going to take a look at a few things. The first is class settings in Google Classroom, assignments in Google Classroom, and then how do we communicate effectively with our kiddos back and forth using that particular application. So here's where we're going to start. If you have created a Google Class already, you'll see that there are four tabs or four areas across the top. Where you will function mostly is in the classwork and in the stream. But the first thing that you want to do before you go into those couple of areas is you want to take a look at your class settings. So I'm going to back up. That's that little cog right here. And now there are some fields that you can modify and customize. Certainly here, you can add in a class description and section and subject. But the part that you want to pay attention to initially is the stream, where it says only teachers can post or comment. By default, when you create a class, it is selected here that students can post and comment. But I would just provide a caution in that if you give this access to your kiddos right off the beginning, then they will behave in your digital learning space much like they do in a personal social networking. And so they will see that that stream is free for them to post and comment at will. But this takes some training. It takes some learning for them to understand that depending on the environment will kind of sometimes dictate our behavior. So I will often set this first to only teachers can post and comment, or at the very at the most open that students can only comment. They cannot post, just so that you are providing some restrictions around what is appropriate and what's acceptable behavior in our digital learning space. Now, certainly there are some other pieces you can look at. If you need the class code, it is here for students to join. And there is some references to grading, but it is not a feature that you need to use in Google Classroom. Once you've made those changes, you click save and then it will save those settings. Okay. So as I mentioned, those are your class settings, and that one with the posting and the commenting is one of the most important ones that you'll give some thought to originally. The next thing we'll take a look at is assignments. So Google Classroom was created to facilitate the handout of stuff that you have for your kiddos and then them handing stuff in to you. So it's a one place that you can do this. It's one place that everybody goes to hand in and hand out. And so we're not having to hunt and search for different things. And so the best place to organize this hand in, hand out is under the class. Okay. Before you start just handing stuff out, it's good to give some thought to the organizational structure that you want in your class. Some teachers will organize it by time. So week one is this, week two, week three. And some teachers will organize it by unit or theme. So it is entirely up to you how you want to organize it, but it is good to give some thought as to what you want that to look like first. Now, to create an organizational unit or a topic, you click create, go down to topic, and just name it the way that you want. So if I have course resources, unit one, unit two, I'm going to add a unit three. Okay, so now they are all there. Now, once you've created your organizational unit, you can go ahead and start populating it with other things that you want to hand out to your students. Now, for simplicity's sake, I am simply going to address the assignment piece and the material piece, and we'll start with material first. Material is stuff that you simply want to hand to your students because it will aid in the learning. It is not something that they need to hand back to you. So it could be something like a website, it could be a formula sheet, it could be a rubric, it could be a course syllabus. So any of those will apply. And so I will say that this is a website that my students need to have access to, and it might be Mathletics. And I can add a description. This website is for are learning with math. And then I'm going to click add. And because I know it's a website, I'm going to click link, and it's going to be that link. Okay. And then there it is. Now, when I post it, I can certainly post and just save this post because I'm not ready to post it to my students. Um, and but when I am, I can just edit it and then post it. And then the other thing I can do is just adjust who it goes to. So not only can I choose my class, but I can choose others. And for differentiation purposes, I can also just choose that this might go to a few and not all. Now, I know that this is going to be a resource, so I'm going to pop it under that topic, and then I'm going to go ahead and click post. Okay. Now, if I've put it in the wrong section, I can easily grab it and move it around. All right. Now, the other thing that you can provide, the other assignment or the other thing that task that you can give your students is an assignment. And so this is something you are giving out because it is something that they will need to give back. It is a way that you are just testing to see how are you doing? Do you know the information that you need to know? Okay. So in this case, we've just been doing a book study, and I want my students to be able to um, write a paragraph describing a particular character. So we have just eating pigeon, write a descriptive paragraph on the assignment to. Okay. Now from there, have already created the assignment as a Google Doc. So I'm going to go into Google Drive. And here is my pigeon paragraph. I'm going to add it. Now, in this case, I could click students can view the file, but for simplicity's sake, I actually just want them to write right on it. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make a copy for each student. And so it's kind of like handing out a sheet of paper, one for you, one for you, one for you. And so Google Classroom does that automatically. If I chose this one, I am essentially inviting all of the students into my master, and they are going to make changes to my master. So I'm going to say make a copy for each student. It's going to these kiddos. I'm going to say it has a due date of tomorrow. Great. And then I'm going to assign it a topic, and it's going to go there. Okay. I'm going to click assign. And I'm just waiting for it to do that. Now I notice I put it in the wrong spot, so I'm just going to pop it down and put it into unit 1. Now, just so that you can see what this looks like, I'm going to go to a student. And just make sure, there we go. And now I can see, oh, let's do a quick refresh. There it is, under book study, there's the paragraph. I'm going to scroll down. Now you'll notice that when it makes a copy for each student, it attached the student's name to it. So I actually don't even need to worry about whose it is. Now, and for simplicity, this is my descriptive paragraph. Pigeon is a funny bird, but I don't think he would know how to take care of a puppy. Okay. Now, from a student perspective, they should just have a turn in button towards the top. So they're going to turn it back in, and that is that hand in, hand out. So click turn in. Perfect. Now, if they have any comments for the teacher, like they have a question, then there's a place to actually put that here. And I'll come back to this when we talk about communication. Just for reference, because I'm here, I'm going to say something like, I had a hard time reading this story. I just had an operation. And because I can't see my screen, let's just move this over. Alrighty. Okay. So now that we've done that, funny. Oh, okay. And we're going to send that. So now that I'm done, let's go back here. Excellent. Now, as a teacher, I have gone in. I see that it was assigned, but it's now been turned in. So I'm going to view this assignment and then I can see what's been going on with my kiddos. Now, if I need to see the instructions again, I'll just click there and it takes me back. But otherwise, here's where it tracks all of the students and the work. So at any point, I can actually go in and see exactly what the students have done. And I can not only comment, I can say, I can highlight something, I can put in a comment and I say, this is a good adjective. Or the other thing is I can put it's being a little tricky again, but I can also add another private comment as a way to communicate back and forth. Okay. So after I finished looking at the student's work, I can just click out of it and then I might go to the next. And I can see that the student is done because there's this little comment that says, okay. If I want to just look specifically just at the student, then I can also kind of take a look at it just on the side there. Okay. So that's a very simplistic view of um, assignments. Now, keep in mind that you can assign almost anything. You can provide, when you click on an assignment, you can add anything from Google Drive. You can add links, you can add files, and you can add YouTube. But just keep in mind that the more that you add and the more complex you're making the process for the student, the easier it is for them to get lost and confused. So simple is best. Okay. So I'm just going to grab that tab and put that there. We're going to close. Perfect. All right. So those are the assignments back and forth, but a very simplistic view. And then the last thing is the stream and the comments, class comments and private comments. So as I mentioned, I've already shown you just briefly that you can exchange um, comments with students back and forth. And so one way to do that is just to pop into an assignment and you can see it's a little bit tricky because I've got something blocking it, but you can have running comments going back and forth here. The other thing you can do is you can also have class comments. So if there's something I forgot to mention to everybody, I can put it under the assignment, class comments, and I can put you another version. Oh, feel free to grab one from the library and then click send. And so that comment will go to all the students under this particular assignment. Now, if you have something that is not specific to an assignment, but is just information or a way to connect with your kiddos as a whole, then you can do that from the stream. So I can go to the stream and I'm going to share with all of my kiddos. Don't forget, we have a Google Meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then I can post this and it will show up on the stream for all students, very much like a social networking site would have. Okay. So if we take a look, the goal was to take a quick peek at some of the features in Google Classroom just to get you up and running so that you've created a framework from which the kids can function. You have a way to hand things out and for them to hand things back And there's a way to communicate with the kiddos.
10 minutes and then we are out of here.
And that is my cue to keep it short and sweet. So, are there more features in Google Classroom? Absolutely. But if you kind of attend to these things, these will get you started. Now, by all means, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out or just do some exploring in Google Classroom. But you will find that this is your one stop shop. If you go here and your kids go here, there it will keep things simple and communication will be easier. All right, dear friends, all the best to you, and we will keep learning together as we go forward. Take care.